What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Scrappy But Successful. It's a show where I sit down with your favorite consultants and we take the comedic route through their early days, find out if they're successful today because they're a little bit scrappy or they're more on the sophisticated side. I'm your host, Jack Tompkins, the CEO of Pineapple Consulting Firm. Today's random fun fact is that hummingbirds are not allowed in Hawaii because they ruin pineapples. I don't know how, but they do. Today, I'm joined with the very talented Diane Gardner. She's the founder of multiple businesses. She's the author of several different books. She's a profit first coach. She's a tax strategist. She's a podcaster. She does all this stuff. We're going to talk throughout all those different pieces throughout the episode. But Diane, the question we have for you today, do you think you fall more on the sophisticated side or more on the scrappy side?
Well, Jack, I'm going to have to say scrappy because I don't have any sophistication in me. I'm just who I am.
I love it. We do what needs to get done and the job gets done well.
May not be pretty, but it gets done.
Okay. We're going to see if the data agrees with you throughout the conversation, but I have a strong feeling I'm going to agree with you. So, take me back to the beginning. Where did you grow up? Did you have any entrepreneurs in the family?
I grew up in a little small mining town in northern Idaho. Zero entrepreneurs in the family. Um, had no idea what an entrepreneur even was. So, yeah, no, just a lot of blue collar workers in our family.
Okay, very nice. So, all right, so people kind of working with their hands and stuff. How small of a town are we talking? Because northern Idaho, give us the geography up there.
So, it was a town of about 1,500 people.
Oh, that's small.
Yeah, we took a school bus to the next town, which probably had, I don't know, 3 or 4,000 in it to go
Okay,
to
the big
school.
city.
Yeah, a big city, yeah. So like you figure little mining, logging type towns, several mines, 4 or 5 mines in the area, a couple major logging companies. Everybody worked for either the mines or the logging. I mean, pretty much, unless they worked at the school district or the hospital or something. So
Okay.
very small rural town
Okay. And are
up in the
you
mountains.
okay? So it's in mountains and you're kind of near Spokane, Washington, right?
I currently am, yeah, about a half hour from Spokane.
Gotcha. Okay, but that's not where you grew. What was the town you grew up in?
I grew up in a little town called Pinehurst, Idaho. Went to school in Kellogg, Idaho.
Okay, very nice. I haven't heard of either of those places, but I
No,
love it.
nobody does. They're little. But we're not. Back then, I was about a half an hour from Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, which is a kind of a resort area now. I live
Okay.
just outside of Coeur d'Alene now.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay, very nice. All right, so you're still in the general vicinity of home, right?
Yes, when I graduated from high school, I went to California to go to college. Decided I did not like it down there. Sorry, Californians, but I hated it down there, and I did everything I could to get back home to small town Idaho.
Okay, and that was San Jose State. Am I remembering right?
Where I ended up graduating, I made the mistake of going the circuitous route of going to like 4 different schools before I graduated. Not highly recommended because I had to take more classes than I would have had to take. But I finally graduated with my degree in accounting.
Okay, already starting off very scrappy. I love it. Okay, so yeah, okay. How do you land on accounting? 'Cause you're from a blue collar town and you like being in that. So how do you heck do you land on accounting?
Okay, you're gonna love this one.
Okay,
My dad was a firm believer that if you were going to drive a car, you needed to learn how to change the oil, change a tire, be aware of your fluids and things like that. And so
sure.
that landed me in a shop class, in an auto repair shop class,
Okay,
because he wouldn't let me drive a car till I could do that. And so I landed in a shop class, really adored my teacher, but I liked his wife even better. And she was an accountant. And it's like, I want to be like her when I grow up. Now, isn't that an amazing reason to become an accountant?
a life decision that you stuck with for 30 plus years now of at least running the business, and it was all because you liked. And now was are they doing a joint class teaching? Is she just kind of popping in when he's teaching?
No, I did some house sitting and various things like that for them. Small town, you know. So I did house sitting for our main school counselor at the high school, and just different people like that because if you're a responsible teenager, you got those kinds of jobs. And so that's how I got to know her. And just
Okay.
really listening to her talk and stuff. It's like, well, I want to do that when I grow up. Little did
Okay.
I know.
Sure. But it's clearly become a passion, right? It became a
Oh
good
yeah.
decision in the long run. Okay.
Yeah.
How did
Because
she go
when
ahead?
I can show somebody how to read and understand the numbers in their business and how it directly correlates to the amount of profit they can earn, light bulb goes on. They go, "Whoa, nobody ever told me that." And then off we roll.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. So we're gonna jump throughout the timeline here a bit. So
Mhm.
let's talk about today a little bit because we're there. It's perfect. So a lot of your clients are in the home service business, right? Blue collar
Blue
type
collar. Yep.
folks.
Love my
So
blue collar guys
okay,
and
tell us
gals.
about
Mhm.
how do you probably don't stumble into that because it was all you knew growing up, right?
My dad was an electrician in one of the mines,
Okay.
and he was sorely disappointed when I wanted to go become an accountant and not an electrician. Because
How does he feel about office work?
I was his oldest son, so I got to help him with various projects and things he was always doing.
Right, right. Okay.
So,
How big is the family?
there was three kids. So,
Okay. And
yeah.
you're oldest, so you're kind of setting the pace. Is it younger brothers or sisters?
I have a younger sister, 2 years younger than me, and then a brother that was 7 years younger.
Okay. Okay. So you're definitely leading the charge here.
Yeah.
You're setting the tone. That car that he eventually allowed you to drive, was it a manual or an automatic?
Oh, of course it was a manual. I
Had to
learned
be.
on his manual pickup on a hillside because, there's no better way to learn how to use a clutch and a brake than on a hillside.
He's not wrong. That is the most difficult thing. If you can master that, you can master anything, I guess.
Scared me to death, but we did it.
Especially in a mountain town, I see the logic there, right? You're gonna be on a hill at some point. You better know how
Gotta
to do it.
gotta be able to stop it and start it and take back off and go again
Okay.
without killing it. And yeah,
Yeah. Do you still drive a manual today?
I don't today. I switched over to an automatic several years back. Um, I have a kind of a bit of a bum knee, and so the clutch was getting to my knee, and so 95% of the time it's fine. But in that one circumstance, you needed to be able to feel like you weren't being hindered.
Right, exactly. Okay. Do you have kids of your
Mm.
own?
I have one daughter
Okay.
and two grandkids.
Okay. Did any of them have to drive manual under your leadership?
I tried to teach my daughter how to drive on a manual Subaru that we had. She promptly told me, "Mom, this is for the birds," and wouldn't drive until she got out of my household and got an automatic. I don't think she can drive a stick today,
Okay.
which is
Okay.
sad because you need to be able to do that skill in life.
It's an important skill. It's an
Yes.
underrated skill, and not a
Hmm.
lot of people can do it these days.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so you're growing up, you're kind of learning the blue collar way of life. Did you collect anything as a kid?
No, but I was an avid animal lover. We had horses and cows and chickens and pigs and all that kind of stuff. We lived out on a little bit of a farm.
Okay.
And so my horse was my best friend. And I spent all my free time with her. If I wasn't, doing things around the house or schoolwork or studying or whatever, it was out with her.
Okay, gotcha. Did you do farming with the horse as well?
No, they were just pleasure riding. My dad
Okay.
would train some horses for other people. Um, Always wanted to get into endurance riding, but never made it that far.
Gotcha. Okay. What was the horse's name?
Her name was Chips. Her real name was Navajo's Chocolate Chip. We
Okay.
called her Chips because she was in Appaloosa, so she was brown with a white blanket on her butt and then brown blotches that looked like chocolate chips. So
There you go.
yeah,
That's perfect.
she was the best horse ever.
Okay, that's awesome. Do you still have any horses today?
I don't. When my husband and I got married a while back, he's super allergic to hay, so I
Oh
let the
man.
last horse go at that point. Now we just have barn kitty cats and chickens.
Gotcha. Okay, so still a little bit of the farmhouse kind of thing.
Yeah, we live out in the country, out in the middle of the woods and up on a hill.
Okay. How much of Idaho is not out in the woods?
Well, in our area, there's a lot of it that is in the woods because we live in kind of a mountain range. But as you head a little bit further south, not too far, it opens up and it becomes more farmland and you start moving away in more into like a plains type topography. I mean, there's still
Gotcha.
mountains, but they're not close like our mountains are
Okay.
because that's where they
Okay.
do so much of the farming.
That makes sense. What's so I always not always, but like I love the question of a mountain vacation or a beach vacation. Are you kind of sick of the mountains? You go on a beach vacation?
Mountain, mountain every
Mountains all
day.
day.
Well, we will go to some other mountain. Yeah.
Okay.
My husband and I love to go to Alaska and we'll rent some little cabin somewhere and just go off and start exploring.
And will you do Alaska like in the winter?
We've not done it in the winter. We've always done it in the summer
Okay. Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
because you can get out and see so much, where in the winter, you can see what's plowed. That's about it,
Right.
unless you're into skiing and stuff, and we're not. So, but
Okay,
we do
gotcha.
love going there in the summertime. We try to go every 4, 5, 6 years. We go back up.
Okay, very nice. Is your husband an entrepreneur too?
No, he's not. He was an employee his whole life.
Okay.
He's
All right.
retired now, and
And that's where we left off. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
What was the first job?
Oh, my first job, I worked at the little local grocery store in their bakery. I got to go in and do cleanup after I got out of school, wiping down the cases and washing things. And then after they close, you get to scrape all the drippy, sticky, icky mess off the floor and wash all the big trays that they cook and bake on and screens. It was nasty.
Oh
That was
yeah.
my first job.
Okay. That's working in a bakery doesn't sound super blue collar, but that's maybe the most blue collar part of being in there.
I had the grunt work part of it, my very first job.
But then you become known as sort of the teenager in town that can do some house sitting and can get some of the what I would assume is more sought after jobs, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Then after that, I went to work at a craft store and worked there for, I don't know, about a year and then headed off to college. So I was doing
Okay.
these jobs kind of around school.
Gotcha. Okay. And four colleges, did I hear that right earlier?
Yeah. That's not recommended.
Okay, so the major ends up being accounting from San Jose. Um, so you get this inspiration from a teacher's wife, become close to the family. You land on accounting. I don't know much about San Jose State. Were you a good student in high school?
I was straight A's in high school, hit college, and all of a sudden I had to learn how to study.
Right. It wasn't so easy
It
anymore.
wasn't so easy. No, not at all. And I had to work while I was going to college because I didn't have anybody to pay my way. I paid my own way. Got a
Nice.
few scholarships and a couple grants and some things like that. But it was up to me if I was going to stay in school. I had to work to stay there. So it was a tough section of my life, one I would not want to repeat.
Sure.
But I made it through and I came out of school, I think, with $5,000 in debt. It was
That's
all.
not bad at all. Holy crap.
No, like I said, I worked. I worked, sometimes two jobs and went carried more than a full load of credits.
Okay. This is scrappy all over it. I love it. This is hustling to get it done.
Yes, I needed that degree or felt like I needed that degree
Yeah.
and would do whatever it took to get it.
Nice. And so let's kind of jump around the timeline again a little bit. So today, I don't know if blue collar businesses have this mindset, but they probably think somebody that looks like me, super nerdy tax guy behind a desk, right? They probably think of that. Are you able to wow them and be like, hey, like I can drive manual, like let's talk shop a bit?
I think I wow them a little bit because I'm not that typical boring stereotype, no personality, put me in the back corner and feed work to me kind of accountant. That's not who I am.
Right. Right, exactly. And you've got a whole coaching practice as well. So you like being kind of, I don't want to say in charge, but like, you like giving advice. You like kind of being the leader in the situation, which is not a typical accountant.
Well, I say God created me with the desire to teach and help others, but I knew I didn't want to be a school teacher. And so over the years, it has kind of morphed itself into my coaching programs.
Gotcha. Okay. And tell us a little bit about the coaching program versus the accounting services.
So accounting is just that traditional help you keep your books in order, pay your taxes, process your payroll, sales tax, all those non-glamorous things that we do. The coaching is where the magic happens. Coaching is where we can give light bulb moments, big ahas on, I had no idea if I pulled this lever, this would happen, and things like that in someone's business. So we love to go in and blow up profits because we help them find those profit leaks and then plug them. And then once that happens, then I get to go help them solve the tax problem that they've created because it really hurts if I take your net income from 100,000 to, three or 400,000. Now you can give half of that to the, to the government, or we can do some tax planning and not make that happen. So
What
it's a
if,
two-prong approach. It's not just a business coach like a traditional business coach would do.
yeah.
And everything's tied back to profit first
Okay, very
as
nice. So we're
as the
definitely going to go into
basis.
profit first a little bit too,
Right.
because I
Right.
want to talk about like cash flow engineering. I want to get into some of the nerdy stuff there, but it's a little bit of like vertical integration almost, right? You're like, hey, I'm going to help your business so much, you're going to be worried about taxes, and then I'm going to take care of that for you too.
You bet. Yes. Yeah.
What a business model. And how long have you been doing it now?
About 5 years.
Okay, the code, or this sort of one-two punch of services for about five
Yes,
years.
yeah. Yeah, I started out doing just the tax planning and thought that's nice, but I'm meeting too many business owners who really don't qualify for tax planning. Now we back up. People think that tax planning is something like go buy a vehicle so you can depreciate it. That's not tax planning. Tax planning is let's sit down, let's come up with some strategies that will work year after year after year in your business so that you can save money with them, not run down to the nearest whatever and buy a piece of equipment. That's not tax planning. And so the tax planning was great, but I kept running across blue collar workers who really didn't have enough high enough net income to need tax planning. So you pay a few, two or three or $10,000 in tax. That's not high enough for real tax planning. And so it's like, well, why don't we help them get there? And then you
Yeah.
can do tax planning.
Right. Okay. That's very cool. So I've always been told that one of the best tax strategies, feel free to ridicule this. The best tax strategies is just spend a crap load in December, lower your bill, and then pay it off.
That's
Tell
terrible
me,
planning
tell me all the things
advice.
wrong with that.
That is terrible advice because too often my home service guys would run out, they'd buy a truck that they really didn't need and couldn't afford. Now they got a big old payment straddled on them that they're fighting to make the payment with each month. Or they'll go buy something big like an excavator or something like that, which is several $100,000. And now they've got debt on them that they didn't really need. They could have gotten away with something else, or they really didn't need it this year. Maybe they need the vehicle next year. And maybe instead of the big old supercharged truck, they just need a service van. So they say they make these snap judgments and run out and spend money. And that's a terrible bit of tax planning. I like to start talking tax planning in May. Tax season's rolled up, you've paid your tax, now let's start talking planning. And we start talking in May, and we've got their plans in place, they're ready to roll, everything's humming along usually by about October.
Okay.
And so there is no last minute, scramble because
Yeah.
we've put a plan in place.
So tell me, not to do free coaching or anything, but like what do you talk about in May? How does the conversation start? Like what is the start of that plan?
Usually the conversation starts because what they just paid hurt.
Sure.
And so we can talk a little bit about, well, what's the history of the last couple of years of your business? Because sometimes it's an anomaly. They had a really big year because something happened. They sold something, whatever. And so it's not going to be repeatable. So we don't want to do the same strategies for that kind of year as we do for a business who's got a 20% growth rate that we can plan on the next year and then the year after. And so then we get into just some basic, there's some just called just foundational tax planning strategies like, do they have a retirement plan in place for themselves and their team? Most states are requiring that, and the state issued ones are just crappy bad. They're awful.
Yeah.
So if we can get them into a customized plan, there's simple things like hiring your kids and working them in your business. You're going to support those kids anyhow, so why not run them through the business if you can legitimately find things for them to do? Sometimes it's hire the spouse, so we can put that spouse on the retirement plan as well. Sometimes it is higher end with my little bit bigger home service guys, we start looking at things like captive insurance, where they can have their own insurance company and be self-insured. Give an example, I had a client a couple years ago who lost their general manager. He got pretty sick and ended up passing away. They lost their general manager, but they had a captive in place. So we were able to put in a claim to help offset the cost of finding and hiring a new general manager and what that did to their sales during the time that they took him to find this guy and get him up to speed. So they were self insured for something like that. Otherwise, they would have just had to bumble through until they get this guy up to speed and things are rolling again. So those are kind of cool things when we come up with strategies like that that really help a home service business.
This is so much more creative than I was expecting. This is like legal creativity to
It
minimize
is.
tax, but like also grow the company too. This isn't just like, hey, make sure your expenses are in order, take out a little bit here, do a little bit of this, buy an extra dinner.
No,
It's way
no,
more fun to talk about that than I was
it
expecting.
is. It is so fun to lay out some strategies, and sometimes people have heard about them but didn't really understand them. Sometimes it's as simple as renting your home to your business and having some meetings at your home and using the Augusta rule. But there's all kinds of documentation you have to do. And so people have heard about it, but they don't know the logistics of how to make that happen.
That's
And
funny.
so for me, that's take money out of your left pocket and put it in your right hand pocket and take a tax deduction in the middle, but
No
do it the
brainer.
right way.
Yeah. I was actually going to bring up the Augusta Course. So like as a golf fan, obviously Augusta, the Masters, whatever,
Mhm.
that's it got some weird popularity for that when I was starting off. And I was like, this makes so much sense. I have an office space, but I don't really use it. I can rent my place to my business. I'm sure I could figure something out there. I'll have a couple friends over, whatever we need to do, business friends. And I thought about that and I was like, okay, it sounds pretty easy, but I have no idea the logistics of that. I don't know the legality of that. I'm not even going to bother with it.
Right. And that becomes part of a tax plan.
Yeah,
It's making sure that we have all the logistics laid out so that if you're questioned in an audit, it's not disallowed. It was a legitimate business expense.
right. So simple. When
So
does the
simple.
tax, so you start off doing tax planning. Is it the same tax planning that you've been doing? Like, have you evolved and gotten into this creativity aspect of it?
Oh, I've completely evolved. Now
Okay.
I get to play in the big leagues. And I've been, the last few years, I belong to a tax planning mastermind group. And so we find speakers to come in and talk to us about these strategies that somebody in the group has either heard or they've used them. And so we start developing relationships, and then pretty soon we're able to add those to our toolbox of strategies that we can do. So we're offering the strategies that the big boys out there use.
Yeah. I think I'm familiar with that group. That was a high power group if that's the one I'm thinking of.
Yes, yes, yeah. You talked to our group at one point.
Yeah, very nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Take me back to the beginning then. So you're quote unquote not playing, or maybe you're playing in the minor leagues then. Um, when do you start the business? How long have you been owning any business in that matter?
Well, I had a business down in California for 13 years,
Wow.
and I sold out to an accountant right after the big Loma Prieta earthquake in 86.
Okay.
Um, I was cash strapped and I ended up selling out to a CPA who moved into town and he ripped me off with the price of my business. But hey, whatever. I learned a big lesson.
And you got out of California.
I got out of California, came home to Idaho, and
Okay.
I've been running here in June. It'll be 31 years.
Wow. Good for you.
I'm an oldie moldy, Jack.
Well, they say 5 years is like a pretty big, like, all right, great, you did it. That's a whole nother story doing it for 30. Good for you. That's amazing. Take me
And
back to the early days, the early struggle days. I presume had to be some sort of struggle,
oh
right?
yeah.
And you're scrappy, you're getting it done. What was your version of ramen noodle dinners back then?
Ramen noodles and the generic version of Ritz crackers
Nice.
or the other, um, saltine type crackers because I couldn't afford anything else.
Yeah, name
And
brand is
mac and
way too
cheese.
expensive.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. There was a time I waitressed for a very short period of time, and one of the stipulations was that I got a hot meal. That was the only
Okay.
hot meal I got each day. I was so beyond poor back then.
I think all of us have been to some degree in that boat that are entrepreneurs. I love hearing the stories though.
Well, even when I was raising my daughter, um, I was my husband ex-husband had left and it was just us and we were beyond poor because I was paying down debt that he had incurred.
Oh geez.
And so my daughter would say, "Oh, mom, not the crock pot. Please, not the crock pot." Because that was the most inexpensive meal I could do was throw something in the crock pot and we'd eat off of it. And still to today, I do that. But
Yeah.
she would look at me, "Please, can't we just go out for whatever?" It's like, "Mom can't afford it. I'm sorry. We have to, stay on our budget plan." And back
Yeah.
then, I was doing the envelope model, which is similar to Profit First, is like only for businesses. So I would, with a little bit of cash I could pull out of my business back then, I had an envelope for a house payment, an envelope for insurance, an envelope for gas, an envelope for groceries. And I had to stay within those envelopes. I was too broke not to.
Yeah. How old's your daughter at this point?
She's 35.
Oh, sorry, back then.
Yeah, but back then she was 10.
She's 10. Okay, so yeah, she doesn't know where money comes from at that point.
No, nope, nope. She would go to her friend's house and they'd go out for pizza and they would do all this fun stuff and they had toys and we didn't have toys and she couldn't understand why her mom couldn't give her that other lifestyle.
Okay, but now you've done well. Now,
Yeah. Now
have
we
you?
have toys for the grandkids.
There you go. What was one of those things? I had a friend who said, she finally quote unquote made it. She's a lawyer. She finally made it because she got wooden hangers in her house. Did you have one of those moments where you're like, we can finally afford a second chair in the living room, like something like that?
Well, I'm going to tell you that due to a husband who's as dedicated as I am about saving and our profit first and our bank accounts and stuff like that, we built a brand new house a year and a half ago, debt free.
Whoa,
Yeah.
whoa. How?
So,
That's amazing. That's
yeah.
crazy.
Because we knew we did not want a house payment. I didn't have a house payment on my prior house. I had paid it off and knew we did not want a house payment, but we wanted a new house. So, yeah,
And you
that
picked
to me
your,
was we've arrived.
yeah.
Yeah.
You picked your spot in the woods. You got the peace and quiet. You got everything you need right there in a new house. That's amazing.
Yeah. So,
That is amazing.
and
I
I'm so
love it.
thankful for that every single day. I thank God
Yeah.
for that. Beautiful house.
Amazing. Amazing. Do you work out of the home or do you work out of an office?
I have an office.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you still is home truly where you separate and you say, I'm not opening
Yes.
the laptop?
Yep. Yep. Once I go home, I go home.
Good for you.
Yeah. Very
That
occasionally will I log into the office, but very occasionally.
okay. That obviously wasn't the case early on.
Oh, no.
When you
No.
were when you were struggling and the time we were eating ramen noodles and stuff. One of my favorite things that I ask is like, what was the if you unloaded or you loaded up the dishwasher, you got clean dishes. How long does it take to actually unload the dishwasher, or are you just taking clean plates out of there to eat on?
I didn't have a dishwasher, so you
There
had
we
to
go.
wash them and put them away. I didn't, my first dishwasher was this new house.
No way.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. How about laundry? Do you have a in-unit laundry back then?
Yeah. Yeah, we did.
How long would it take to put away the laundry?
Just a few minutes.
You were good. Okay. That's been one
I'm
of
very
my
anal about that kind of stuff. That's the accountant in me.
okay, gotcha. Gotcha. Fair enough. That's my scrappiness coming out where if there's clean stuff over in the kitchen and the washroom or whatever, it's fine. It doesn't need to go back to its place. I can get a little bit of work done and then I'll figure that out on the weekend.
Then I want things in their place. I'm
Okay.
sure I drive my husband crazy.
There's a beauty to having order in the household though, because even for me, like I right now I live alone and I don't super mind like dishes in the sink that are still dirty. But when there's nothing there, it's just so I can walk in and I see that clean sink and it is so much more relieving. So
Yeah.
I respect that always being a part of your DNA.
Yeah. Yep. It's there. There's nothing I'm going to do to change it. I was raised by a mom and a couple grandmas that were the same way.
Okay.
You took care of that kind of stuff and you didn't leave it sit around.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of comfort in walking home
Yeah.
and
I
seeing.
love coming home to a clean kitchen versus, if you get in a rush and you head out the door and you come back in, it's like, oh, great, now I got to start cleaning up the kitchen.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. Um, when they'll stay in the early days of business. You're hustling, getting everything done. Did you do anything like ridiculous marketing efforts that you tried that may have worked?
No, because when I was hustling and building, it was pre-internet.
Sure.
Remember, I'm an oldie moldy,
Oh, this is even
pre-internet.
more opportunity for ridiculousness.
So my ridiculousness is you wouldn't know it today, but I was such a shy, introverted person. And moved up here to this area in northern Idaho. I didn't know anybody except for my dad, who lived down the road a little ways. And I needed to get some money coming rolling in. We were going to starve if I didn't. So I had some business cards printed up, and I literally went out and I walked door to door to door, every business in our town, and that's how I got my early clients, was doing that, which was terrifying to me because I was so shy back then.
Yeah. Yeah. That's terrifying now, even for the most extroverted person I know, knocking on doors.
Yeah,
Oh, were
and
you
putting
knocking on
yourself out
businesses
there.
or homes?
Businesses.
Businesses.
Yeah, I
Okay.
knew I needed bookkeeping and accounting and that kind of work. I needed that steady, repeatable month after month after month kind of work. So I
Yeah.
was hitting businesses, and I
Okay.
hit our town and a little bit in the next town over, and got enough clients to get us rolling.
Okay. And so you had a decent enough closing ratio doing that.
I couldn't tell you what it was, but it worked.
Right. All that mattered was cash came in.
Cash came in, we were able to pay the bills. I was able to hire my first employee not too long after that, and we started rolling.
Wow. Okay. Because there's probably not much of a networking scene in such a small town, right?
No, no. I
Okay.
eventually got brave enough to join the local chamber,
Okay.
and they helped me with having to be able to stand up and introduce yourself and things like that. That was terrifying. Like I said, you never know. Now I'm on podcast interviews and things like that, but back then I was so terrified.
It
Um,
starts out of necessity. You got to
it
do it
was
at
it
that
was
point.
total survival. You had to learn how to do this stuff.
Yeah.
And when
Okay.
my VA said, you ought to think about starting your own podcast, I was like, oh, but look at us now. We're
Terrifying.
almost that's the 2.5 year point.
Right. So let's talk about the podcast a little bit. So, tell us the name. It's Profitable Home Service Business. Oh,
Prof,
Profitable Home
prof,
Service Podcast.
Profitable Home Services podcast. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Tell us about it. Who are you interviewing? What's the purpose of it?
I interview people who generally work with home service businesses. Every episode is aimed at finding profit leaks and plugging them. So we can find a profit leak in pretty much any conversation that we have. And I think you and I did the same thing when you came on my podcast. We found some profit leaks.
I think so.
Um, we always are the very end of our program. We discover a hidden or unique profit leak that my guest has seen. Um, Soon, I'm hoping a little bit later this year, we'll be starting our first co-authored book with some of our podcast guests, where we will dig deeper into those hidden profit leaks. And I'm hoping that'll become a series of books where, kind of like the chicken soup books, just start rolling them out as we continue to have guests on the show and highlight these. Some of these are very unique profit leaks I never would have come up with on my own. So that's why I want to get them into a book format, be able to share them out with others.
Very cool. Give us a sneak preview. What's a really unique profit leak that you found?
Oh my goodness.
I know I'm putting you on the spot. Hey,
I
you
know
did it.
you
You did it
are.
to
I
me
don't
in
have
your
my
podcast.
document up in front of me with all my leaks on it. Well, I'll just say one is not super unique, but it's a little hidden because people don't think about it. Is There's a massive profit leak in most home service businesses because they don't go back and follow up with their previous customers.
Yeah.
They're always going after that next new customer. And so I had a gentleman on the podcast who talked about just something as simple as they started mailing out postcards, and then they started mailing out thank you cards, and then they started mailing out little gifts and stuff. And what that did to his revenue growth and his profit margin was amazing. So I got to interview somebody who actually did it. And that was really cool. So that was, it's, I wouldn't call it super unique, but it's hidden because they're not thinking about the gold that's sitting in their customer list.
It's a lot less expensive to get more from the same customer than to go find a new
Yes.
one.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
and I always use the example several years ago, I had a plumber come over and do some work at my office. He didn't leave me any information about his business. He's never once reached out. We needed some plumbing work done last year. Could I remember his name? Of course not. So we had to go search and find a new plumber. Had he done anything to stay in contact with us, we would have used him, a few times more over the years because he was a nice guy. He did a good job. Couldn't tell you his name.
Right. Right. And that's the shame of it. It's not a, hey, I'm encroaching again. I know you just paid me for something and I guess that makes me feel bad, but I don't want to encroach again, so I'm not going to reach out. But it's just, hey, once a year, once every now and
Couple
then,
times a year. Yeah.
let them know you're
Just
there.
checking in on you. Just want to say, whatever. I know my own business. We send birthday cards, handwritten birthday cards to our clients. We send sympathy cards if we hear that they've lost somebody. We have get well cards. We have little get well boxes of fun stuff that we've put together. We have what we call a sunshine box. If we hear somebody's going through something really tough, out will go a yellow sunshine box with some fun stuff in it. So we get creative on how can we stay in contact? I mean, you yourself, you received a box.
I did. Yeah.
Yes, after your interview on our podcast.
Yeah, there's multiple charging cords in there, and I have a Samsung, and so all my friends, whenever they're at my place, they're like, "You don't have an iPhone charger? What are we supposed to do?" I now have an iPhone charger because of you.
So, I mean, we sit down sometimes and we brainstorm. Um, we have another packet that we've put together. It seemed like there for a while. A few of our clients were going through some chemo and stuff like that. So we put together a pack that would go with them, and it's got fun little things that they can do while they're sitting there waiting, um, while they're getting treatment or something. And
Yeah,
so there's
that's
some
so
like word
thoughtful.
search and puzzles, and there's pencils, and there's colored pencils, and there's I forget what all's in it, but just little things like that that somebody says, "Hey, my accountant sent me that." Who does that?
Back to the not the average accountant that you are. I love it. And we were talking kind of ridiculous, quote unquote, marketing earlier. I wouldn't call this ridiculous at all. It's very creative and incredibly thoughtful, though.
And
I
it
mean,
works.
you probably try not to, maybe you do put an ROI on that, but I'm sure just the sentimental value of that is really difficult to quantify and it's worth it.
It is, and I have one client that was with me when I was down in California. So she's probably been a client, I would say, for 48 years, 47 years. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, can you put an ROI on that?
Absolutely not.
And then
Wow.
a lot of my Idaho clients have been with me from almost day one, and they're
Okay,
still
so
here.
these are, I mean, talk about like keeping up with your customers. You are, if I put this into crude capitalist terms, you are really maximizing LTV of these clients.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. As we come towards the landing of the plane here a little bit, tell us a little about profit first, because obviously you've got this objectively pretty creative tax strategy thing. You've got very important, very meaningful marketing. The backbone of the service offering, maybe I shouldn't say the backbone, but a core staple of it is profit first. So for the folks out there who don't know what that is, give a little background on that and maybe some cash flow engineering too.
You bet. Yeah. So when you heard me talk earlier about my broke days when I was living out of the envelope system, and that was
Yep.
pre Dave Ramsey because he wasn't even out there yet. So
Okay.
the envelope system, if you take that thought and put that into a business environment, so instead of envelopes, we have bank accounts. And so we'll have a bank account for owner's pay because you'd be surprised how many owners don't get a regular paycheck and they should be paid first. We have a bank account for profit. So instead of saying revenue minus expenses equals profit, we say revenue minus profit equals expenses. And
Ah,
we plan how much profit do we want to have in a year. And we put that away out of every single deposit. If I want a 15% net profit, 15% goes in my profit account. And then I pay my bills. We'll have a bank account for emergencies. I like my clients to have 3 to 6 months emergency funds in there. so that when something happens, not if, when, you can get through and it doesn't kill your business. So we have these bank accounts because I'm a firm believer that your money has various jobs and you send it out to do the jobs and you need a place for that to be held. And so those bank accounts become that holding area and they allow your business to become wildly more successful than an average business that runs everything out of one bank account because the owner is making a decision based on what's in that one bank account, not realizing or not necessarily thinking that payroll's coming up on Friday. Oh, I had this workers' comp audit. I'm going to have to pay this big chunk. Sales tax is coming out. It's time to renew whatever it is. You got all these chunks of money coming out, but you're looking at this big balance sitting in the account going, I can go do, and off they run. When we pull it out into the various accounts, they're looking at what's in that operating account and it gives them a truer sense of I can go do something or no, I can't. And it takes the emotion out of the decision making. Because if we want to buy something and I've got a capital improvement account sitting there, all I have to do is look in the account. Do I have enough to go buy what I want to buy? Nope, I don't. Can't buy it today. And we just keep saving. And so we help them get out of debt and really take control of their business through their profits and their cash flow.
It makes so much sense. And I think QuickBooks checking, not a plug for them by any means, but like they literally call them envelopes. And you know this, you're in QuickBooks, but like they literally call them envelopes in there. And I don't know if that's kind of where this started, but back
No,
to
it was
your
way pre
right,
QuickBooks.
right, it's fair. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if they took that idea, but like clearly that's been something I don't want to say it's certainly not easy, but it's a
No,
simple
it's a
concept.
the mindset shift,
Yeah,
a
that's the thing.
major
It's barely
mindset shift.
Yeah, it's barely a financial shift. It's much more of mindset shift.
Mhm.
That's
And
very
we
cool.
start small. We start with 1% and 2%
Okay.
because I can't take 30 or 40% of what you're used to operating on and pull it away. I can't do that to you because you'll crash your business. But we can take 1 or 2% in various accounts, and we do it in baby steps. And over the course of a year or two, we now have you operating in profit first.
Nice.
Yeah,
Okay. Very cool. So this is the cash flow engineering too. Those two are kind of synonymous.
pretty much. Yes. Yeah, because
Okay.
it does lead right back to your available cash flow.
Okay.
And yeah, and then we have lots of fun tools and stuff we get to use and share with you and show you where cash is leaking out of your business.
I love it. I love it. All
I'm
right.
such
Let's
a nerd.
No, me too. We've done this. We could spend several hours talking about
But
this,
we
but
could.
let me hit you with some scrappy versus sophisticated questions real quick. We'll do lightning round here. Have you ever gotten paid through Venmo or Cash App?
No.
Oh, okay. All right. What's the dollar amount or dollar limit where you won't do like a 3 month sample of a subscription service?
Ooh, because I've done some pretty big ones last year that I normally wouldn't have.
Okay.
My biggest one was probably $10,000 for 6 months, but
Wow.
it got me where I wanted to go. I paid for speed.
Okay. So this is a full mindset. You really view this as investment because I view a $10 subscription. I'm like, probably not worth it right now.
It depends though, because last year I want to get from here to here the fastest place I can get there. And I dropped some serious money last year. I won't be doing that this year, but we got where we wanted to go.
Because you had the tax strategies in place. I
And I
love it.
had the money sitting in my Profit First account that I could do it.
Proof positive that the system works. I
Yeah.
love it. Um, okay, we're gonna skip the scrappy versus sophisticated. You have become much more sophisticated, I would say. Give yourself a little bit of credit. We're gonna say that you are 98% scrappy, but there's some
Okay,
sophistication in
a
there
little
for
bit.
sure. Tell us about 2026. We're early enough in the year. What are you trying to do? What's big in 2026? And my selfish version of the question is, how are you being more data driven in 2026?
Well, 2026, I want to max out my group coaching program, my Profit Amplifier program. I just need 10 more people. So that's not a heavy lift, just 10
No.
people. And we'll have that program maxed out. We'll be able to start another one at that point. Um, on the other side, I have invested heavily in some cash flow program, training, software, an app. It's amazing. And we get to really nerd out on numbers. As clients love it though, because we got all kinds of dashboards and stuff for them. So that has completely changed how I have those conversations with clients.
Yeah. An
Yeah,
easy way to be data driven when it makes that
definitely.
stuff fun. That's pretty good.
Yeah. And they look forward to, okay, what's our progress now? As we pull up their dashboard and see where they're at.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. And so tell us a little bit more about the group coaching. Maybe we could find 10 listeners for you.
So our group coaching, our Profit Amplifier program is we meet weekly and we have 7 different pillars in the program where we are looking at these different areas of your business and finding and plugging those profit leaks so that you can be wildly profitable and then proud to be wildly profitable.
Man, wildly profitable.
Yes.
If everybody's
My
not
new.
trying to aim for that
Yep.
in some way,
Wildly profitable.
and
And being proud of it because so oftentimes we have businesses out there that are wildly profitable, but they're so quiet about it because they're almost ashamed. And there's no shame in being wildly profitable. Because when you're wildly profitable, you can hire the best team. You can give your customers the best experience that you can give them. Because my customer experience now compared to years ago is night and day difference because I couldn't afford to do anything fun for them before. Now we
expensive.
do fun stuff for our clients on a regular basis. So you have to be wildly profitable to be able to do those kinds of things.
Yes,
And
you
for your
do.
community, things like that.
From barely struggling eating ramen noodles and trying to figure out which envelope this dollar bill goes into to wildly profitable and helping people do it. Diane, I love it. 98% scrappy. Thank you so much for coming on. Is there anything you want to promote or let the folks know about out there?
I would love to promote our 15 profit leaks ebook. And oh, I should have given you a URL up front. I wasn't ready for that one.
We can
You
handle that.
go out to taxcoachforyou.com or profitcoachforyou.com, and that's tax coach or profit coach, the number 4, you.com. There is a place in our resources tab that says our 15 profit leaks. And in there, we will give you 15 of the most common profit leaks in a home service business and some ideas of ways to plug them.
Nice. I'm gonna
So
go download that myself.
yes, we love that little resource that we made.
Very nice. She's got books, she's got a podcast, she's got a great business. She's a creative tax strategist. Again, very scrappy, very Diane. I appreciate you coming on.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks. And I enjoy getting to come talk numbers with you.
Yeah,
We'll,
let's
we'll
nerd
have
out
to
anytime.
yeah, we'll have to have a offline nerdy conversation here.
Anytime, absolutely. Take care, Diane.
All right. Thanks, Jack.